Assistant Athletic Director for Communications here at the University of South Carolina. It's my pleasure to welcome you to today's press conference as we begin a new chapter of Carolina baseball with the introduction of our new head coach. Today's program is as follows. First, Athletics Director Ray Tanner will come up, talk a little bit about the coaching search, and introduce his newest hire. At that time, Coach Kingston will come up. He'll have some opening remarks as well, and then we'll open it up for questions for the new coach first, and then if we have any questions for Coach Tanner after that. We would ask that if you have a question, please raise your hand. We'll get a microphone to you, field mic, so the people at home, those watching on our website and stuff, can hear the question as well. At the conclusion of the press conference, we will have a photo opportunity up here with Coach Tanner and Coach Kingston, and then we'll have an opportunity for some one-on-ones with the TV folks and radio afterwards with both these gentlemen. So without further ado, Athletics Director Ray Tanner.
Thank you, Steve. Thank you for being here today. I know it is a holiday weekend, but we appreciate you taking the time to come out and meet our new baseball coach. I would like to take a moment, if I could, and if you will join me, to let's give an official welcome to the Kingston family, to now the Gamecock family. And if I could embarrass each of the family members, I would like for them to be introduced. And first, I would like to introduce Letitia, Mrs. Kingston, but she goes by T, so it's Letitia. Please stand and be recognized. This is their son, CJ. Kaylin. Okay. And my new assistant who's going to help me run operations in the entire department, Kate. Yeah. I like your wave, Kate. That's good. And if you're interested, tomorrow's Kate's birthday, so we'll be celebrating. We'll try to stay out of trouble. I would like to recognize a few people before I share some remarks and thank some people. First, I want to thank Dr. Pastides and the Board of Trustees. I have immersed Dr. Pastides and our board in this baseball search, and they've taken an enormous amount of time in this with my staff and I to get to where we are today, so I'm very grateful. Our chairman, John Von Lee, vice chairman, Mr. Hugh Mobley, and the Intercollegiate Athletics chair, Mac Whittle. I think I've called Mac way too much during the last few weeks, but he's been terrific. We do have a number of board members with us today. We appreciate you being here to visit as well. I also want to recognize, I saw him a couple of minutes ago, Terry Parham, our legal counsel. Where's Terry? Terry's in the back. He reminds me quite often that I don't work for athletics, but I ask him to do a lot for us, but we're very grateful and certainly appreciate the work that you do. I'll share just a few remarks about the opportunity to hire Mark Kingston to be our baseball coach. A lot of things that you might have seen in social media, a lot of different candidates were vetted out, were shared. Most of them were accurate, that this job attracts a lot of the top coaches in the country. Some conversations weren't as serious as others, but they were vetted out. I feel like that it is the #1 job, easily in the top 3 or 4 in the country. But along the way, Coach Kingston and I started having conversations over the telephone, and it appeared to me, and it was very apparent, that he understood a lot about the dynamics of our baseball program, even though he had never been very close to it. He had followed us. He knows all about what goes on here. He's made some trips along the way to different schools, and quite often we would be on the telephone, and I would hang up, and it would be an hour or more. And I would ask myself, did I keep him on the telephone or did he keep me on the telephone? But either way, we had some conversations that I think we covered the gambit in everything that we talked about as far as what this program stands for. And he had an opportunity to visit last week with T, had a chance to be on campus. He had a chance to understand the world of compliance, the world of academics for our student athletes, a very thorough visit. He finally said to me, am I going to get a chance to go see Founders Park? And I said, we're all about the student-athlete experience first here. So we had a great day. You had a chance to visit with Dr. Pastides at the president's house. But I want to tell you that when you talk about the world of intercollegiate athletics today and what it means to be a student-athlete, I'm not sure that I've ever visited with a coach that understands the culture as well as Coach Kingston does. We talked about the student-athlete well-being. We talked about strategy. We talked about development. We talked about culture. We talked about everything that you could possibly think about. I love the path that he has chosen to take. He was at a number of different schools. He was a part of the national championship as an assistant coach. He was a part of the World Series at another institution. Just 2 years ago, he was part of the top 5 recruiting class at his previous stop. So at the end of the day, when my staff and I were talking about opportunities for the future of this program, I'm not sure there was a box that he didn't check. He had a chance to visit with some of our current players while he was in town. I got outstanding reviews from those meetings. He had a chance to visit with a lot of people that he made an impact upon. He is a family-first man. He's all about the student-athlete experience. He's all about embracing the culture that we have here. And I did not put much pressure on him during the process about winning. All I said was, we've got to beat Clemson, and I'd like to go to Omaha. I really didn't get into more detail than that. But we are excited to have a young man like Coach Kingston taking over our program. We were in the stadium earlier today, and there were a few players there, and they were working out. Some were working camp, and they were very eager to spend time with him right away. I said, we've got a few things to do before you guys can get your hands on him. But they're ready to go to work. They're excited about the future here, and I'm excited as well. I know that our stands are going to be packed. We're going to energize this fan base with Coach Kingston, and we're going to do very, very well. It is my opportunity now to introduce our baseball coach, Mark Kingston.
Thank you very much. I talk to my team all the time about how gratitude, I think, is extremely important. So I would like to start today with my thank yous, and please bear with me. Page number 1 is thank yous. I think that's very important. Number 1, President Pastides and his wife Patricia were very gracious to myself and my wife on our visit, and I think we hit it off really well. It was very clear how much he loves baseball, not only South Carolina baseball, but the history of baseball. And so to know that the president of our university loves baseball, that was great to see right out of the gate. Number 2, the Board of Trustees. This doesn't happen without their support. I was lucky enough to meet some already today, and once again, they shared their passion with this program, with this school, and I will share that from day one. Coach Tanner and his wife Karen, I think we hit it off right out of the gate. When I first got a call from Coach Tanner, my wife and I and family, we were at dinner. The phone started ringing. It was an 803 area code. I said, I think this is Ray Tanner. I said, can you believe Ray Tanner is actually calling? They have a position open. My wife said, that is great. Who's Ray Tanner? Everybody in baseball knows who Ray Tanner is. And I can assure you it gives me great pride to know that one of the greatest coaches in college baseball history has given me this responsibility. So Coach, Karen, thank you very much. And then lastly, everybody that was involved in this process. I see a lot of people that were here, that were here for our interview. It was a 13-hour day, I believe that was, from the time we landed till about midnight when Coach Tanner dropped me off at the hotel. Great day, great people. To me, that's what it's all about. We have a great program, we have a great university, but those only get there if you have the right people. And so clearly this place has great people. Next, my parents, obviously my parents, Mark and Lorraine Kingston, but also my wife's parents, Jim and Patsy Kelly, have been great mentors and have always supported us in everything we do. My family, Kaylin, CJ, and Kate. It's a great move for us. I promise you. We will make this a great move. This will be our best move, and it'll be our last move. I've had some great mentors over the years. Jim Morris at Miami, Rick Jones at Tulane, Jeff Stewart, all great guys that helped me get to where I am today. Taught me how to do it the right way, taught me how to do it at the highest level. So I can't thank them enough. Jeff Stewart is now in pro baseball. He entrusted me with coaching his son when I was at Illinois State, and he currently is a starting pitcher for a pitcher for the Los Angeles Dodgers in the big leagues. So to me, it's about those types of relationships. Played for a lot of great pro coaches that taught me how to play the game, how to handle the game, how to respect the game. And my college coach, Mike Roberts, also gave me an opportunity to play in college and pursue my dreams and get an education as well. I also had a great high school coach. I think it's important to always remember where you came from. I played my high school baseball in Virginia for Jerry Gardzell, who no longer is with us, but he taught me about work ethic and how important it was to outwork the next guy. And then lastly, my ADs, Shane Zanger, Gary Friedman, Larry Lyons, Mark Harlan, all great ADs to work for, all gave me the support and confidence I needed, told me when I was out of tune, but also told me when I was doing it right, which I hope was most of the time. I've had some great assistant coaches, and a head coach is only as good as his assistant coaches. Billy Mole, Mike Current, Chris Cates, Bo Durkak, Greg Paris, Holden Reinman, back at USF. A coach is only as good as the guys he's with. I tell my assistants all the time, you're not working for me, you're working with me. And I think that's very important. A coaching staff that I'm on will always collaborate. We will always put our heads together to make sure we're doing what's best for our team. And then lastly, the players. USF, Illinois State, Tulane, Miami, Purdue. Coaches are only as good as their players. And I want to thank all of them. I had a tough conference call with my players at USF this morning. It was not easy. When you go through that stuff together, it was not easy, telling those guys goodbye. So I thank all the players that have gotten up for those early workouts, got the big hits, made the big pitch. Thank you to all the players that I've ever been fortunate enough to coach. Okay, that was page one. What do I believe in? What is important to me? Faith, family, and baseball. To me, that's 99% of what you see with me. Faith, family, and baseball. That is where my focus will always be. There's just not enough time for a coach at this level to have focus on anything else. So if you wonder what I'm doing, I'll be involved in one of those three areas. I am here to help the student athletes reach their potential. That's what a coach's job is. If they reach their potential on the field, off the field, the wins will take care of themselves. With me, you'll find I have old school values. I believe in work ethic, I believe in discipline, I believe in accountability, but it will always be with a new school communication. The guys will know what our core values are, but I'll also use texts or tweets or whatever new technology there is to try to make sure that we're communicating to them in a way that they appreciate in 2017 moving forward. Practice and preparation, in my opinion, must develop confidence and toughness. The great teams have both. They have a confidence and they have a toughness that carries them through the tough times. And so if you want to know what is the missing link on the teams that are talented and they go far, it's confidence and it's toughness, both mental and physical. So that's something that we will focus on a daily basis. I think culture is the top priority in a program. Culture is what makes a great program sustainable. Gimmicks come and go, X's and O's come and go. The latest way to teach hitting or pitching can come and go, but a positive, demanding culture is what sustains a program. So we will always be working very hard to sustain the proper culture for this program. And then lastly with me, I believe that you always have to be recruiting and the head coach always has to be involved in that process, and I will be. Great players make great coaches, and so from a recruiting standpoint, I will be out there, and on every recruiting visit, players will spend plenty of time with me. I think that's extremely important. Okay, here's my message to different segments of everybody involved in our program. Alumni, you guys built this tradition. You guys built this tradition. I got a text today from Whit Merrifield. I think everybody in this room knows who that is with the Kansas City Royals. To me, that's what it's all about. The alumni built this program. We will work very hard to protect what this program is all about. And you will always be welcome, whether it's at practice, whether it's at games, whether it's wherever we are. The alumni, please reach out. We want you to be a big part of this. You are a big part of this. So we will always work hard to make you very, very proud. To the administration, we will represent USC with class. We will support the mission of the student athlete. It's very, very important to know that we want to win a lot of baseball games, but we will support the academic mission of this school. I think that's extremely important. To the coaches and parents, we will treat and respect your kids. We will develop their potential. If you send one of your kids, whether you're a coach, whether you're a parent, if you send one of your kids to our program, they will be respected and they will be developed. I have 3 kids myself. I know what you expect. I know what I expect when I send my kids to different organizations or sports or school. We will respect your kids. We will treat them the right way, and we will push them to reach their potential. That's our job. To the fans, we will embrace your expectations. I know what the expectations are. Coach Tanner made sure that I knew what the expectations were many, many times. So we won't run from the expectations. We'll run towards the expectations because, trust me, they're the same. They're the same. I know how important the in-state rivalry is here with Clemson. I get that. We will work very hard to do the absolute best we can in winning those games. I know how important that is to you. So we will do our best to make sure those games go in a very positive fashion for the Gamecocks. We want Omaha as much as you do. I will tell you, the fans, we want Omaha as much as you do, and we will work hard to get there. Only 8 teams get there every year, but we can work every day and make sure that that's our focus. I've been very fortunate that I've been there 3 times. I won't tell you the first school I went there with. I think most people know. The second school I went there was with Tulane University. And, Miami. We went Miami my second time to win the national championship. Tulane my third time as the #1 seed. We fell just short. So I've been to Omaha 3 times with 3 schools. I want to get there a 4th time with a 4th school wearing these colors. I can assure you. I know that's what your goals are. Those are our goals too. Lastly, to the players, I'm going to share, we had a conference call this morning. I'm going to share what my message was to them point by point, because I think it's important for the players to know what our expectations are, but also to share those with you. So the first thing I told them was prepare to work. There are no shortcuts. Prepare to work. We will get there. We will reach our potential because we work. I think that's the culture that Coach Tanner had here for many, many years, and I share that vision. We will get there because we work. Number 2, I told him I'll have 3 goals for you. You're going to graduate because at some point baseball is over. Whether you play pro baseball or not, you're going to graduate. You're going to have a lot of life to live, so we need this degree. So that is going to be number 1. Number 2, let's get to Omaha. That's a goal. We'll make the commitment to do what it takes to get there. Let's do everything we can to get there. So that's the second goal that we have for our players. And then lastly, I would assume that we're going to coach a lot of players in this program that have a chance to move on to the professional level. We will prepare our players to make sure that they are ready when they leave this program to be successful in professional baseball. We've done that many, many times over the years at many different programs. I think it's important for the kids to know that we share those dreams with them. So graduate, have a chance to play in Omaha, and become a professional prospect. Those are the three goals and the vision we share with every recruit. And when the kids play for us, they know that that's what we're working for on a daily basis. Play hard, play smart, be disciplined. That's something we put up in the locker room at USF when I first got there, and that's something we try to stand by every single day. Play hard, play smart, and be disciplined. I think that's very important. If you do those things, the game usually goes your way if you deserve it. So that'll be one of our mantras, is that we're going to play hard, we're going to play smart, and we're going to be disciplined. I also told them that I would have their back. I will have the back of our players. I will expect great effort in all they do. 99% will not be enough effort. But if they're doing what they're supposed to do, I will always have their back. And I think the players that have played for me will confirm that. We will have fun in the process. This is a tough game. 300 hitters fail 70% of the time. You can be throwing a no-hitter, give up one home run, and you could lose the game 1-0. This is a hard game that is designed to break your heart over and over again. So we'll be there to support our players. We'll be there to help them make adjustments. We'll be there to make sure that when they do get down, they get up quickly. We don't yell and scream at our guys for physical mistakes. We make sure they're sharp mentally, but they'll know that if they make a mistake that's just part of the game, we'll be there to help them correct the mistake and move on and learn from the experience. Winning will be a byproduct of everything we've talked about. I don't want our guys focused on winning. I want guys focused on the commitment it takes to win. In the weight room, during sprints, during practice, everywhere. Everywhere. Winning becomes a byproduct of doing things the right way every single day. So that will be a focus. And then the last thing I talk about with our team all the time is stay humble and stay hungry. And so what I can tell you today is I'm very humbled to be here as your coach, and I'm hungry to get to work. With that, I'll be happy to answer any questions. Thank you.
If you'd raise your hand, we'll get a microphone to you. And please introduce yourself so Coach can start to put a face with the name as well. David with the first one.
David Cloninger with the state. Coach, are you planning to bring your staff from USF with you to USC?
To be determined. I have a great staff there. They're so good that they're being considered to be one of them to be promoted as the head coach at USF. So we need a little time for that to play out. Once that happens, then I'll be able to start putting the staff together. But I also know we have some good members of the staff currently here as well.
Other questions? Go ahead, Jeff.
Jeff Owen, Spurs and Feathers. Coach, one of the areas where the team last year struggled a little bit was offensively in a lot of different categories. What is your offensive philosophy, and what are the things that you emphasize to your players?
The ideal team for me has speed and power. We talk about all the time, the best way to score a run is with one hit. If you have speed, a guy can walk, steal second, and a blue pit scores a run. Or you can have a power hitter who, with one swing of the bat, can score a run. If you don't have either one of those and it takes 4 or 5 hits in an inning to scratch out a run or two, that makes it really tough, especially with the type of pitching in the SEC where guys average over a strikeout an inning. It's just too hard to put a lot of hits together. So what we do is we try to place a very high emphasis on speed and power because I think that's the best way to score runs in the long term. We will occasionally play the short game, but only when absolutely necessary.
Back of the room on the left there.
Coach Kingston, Brad Freilich with WYFF up in Greenville. I'm way in the back of the room by the cameras.
All right, thank you.
Coach, what about the South Carolina program was attractive to you other than this program has had a winning tradition? What are some of the other things that you saw that made this an attractive job for you?
How much time do you have?
We got plenty of time.
Obviously, the support of the fans is unbelievable. The attendance here is unbelievable. The season tickets are unbelievable. So I think that's a great place to start. When you have that much passion that is shared by coaches and players, when you know if you're going to put everything you have into this sport at this school, it's nice to know you're going to have so many people that support that mission. I would say that's number one. I think the history and tradition of this program is obviously extremely strong, And when we say history, we're not talking about 20 and 30 years ago only. There's a long, proud tradition, but not too long ago, this was the top program back-to-back in the country. So you factor those two in, you factor in the great academics, you factor in the best facility in the country. There's a lot to like. Then on top of that, as a baseball coach, you get hired by Ray Tanner, one of the best of all time. Just so much to be very impressed with.
Go over here to John on the right.
John Whittle, the Big Spur. I wonder why is it important for a head coach to be so involved in recruiting, and what kind of traits do you look for in a player when deciding whether to offer or not?
Well, the traits you look for in a player, I could probably answer that question for about an hour. Pitchers, we look for velocity, obviously, that's important, but you also look for command, you look for the breaking ball, you look for projectability, you look for competitiveness. Position players, there's the 5 tools that you start with. You want to rank players on their 5 tools, but you also want to see where's their projection, where can they get better, how do they fit into an offense. There's a lot of things we look for from a baseball standpoint. Then on top of that, if you're in an elite program like this, you can also now track their academics and make that an important part of the equation. I learned a long time ago, if you have 2 players of equal talent and one is a much better student, take that one, because they're exhibiting the discipline it takes to be successful. And academics are not always as fun as going to the cages and hitting. So if you find a great player that's also a great student, that means he's going to do what it takes. In terms of putting a team together from a recruiting standpoint, we're always looking for needs. We're always looking for wants as well. I just think the better you recruit, the better the team's going to be. And I think it's important for the head coach to be involved in that very strongly, both in the identifying of talent, both in the recruiting of talent, and then also in helping them develop once they get here.
Let's go back to the left, David.
David Caravella, Charleston Post and Courier. Mark, before his number showed up on your phone, what was your relationship like with Coach Tanner, and does any of it go back to when you were both in the ACC?
He was a coach in the ACC at the same time I was a player, but our paths crossed maybe once or twice just on the recruiting circuit. I worked for some coaches that had very high respect for Coach Tanner, but I would say 99.9% of our relationship started a few weeks ago.
Colin.
Colin Taylor, Gamecock Central. You mentioned the staff. Have you had a chance to talk to the staff that's currently here, and will any of them be candidates to fill your staff?
Yes, I have talked to them, and if there is space available, they will be considered.
Rick.
Rick Henry, WIS-TV. Coach, welcome to Columbia. You've already mentioned your excitement about working for Ray. How much are you going to be leaning on him this first year, especially when it comes to navigating your way through the SEC?
I'll call him when necessary, but he didn't hire me to have to babysit me, is my opinion. Coach, is that accurate? Okay, good, good. I'm confident enough in what my staff and I will be able to do with our team that I'm not going to call him all the time. I may call him for non-baseball reasons much more than baseball reasons. I think we know what we're doing. I think we know how to build teams and develop them. I would guess at this point we'll talk more non-baseball than we will baseball.
Let's go to the TV row, Mike.
Hey, Coach, back here. Michael Espy, ABC Columbia. First, welcome to Columbia.
Thank you.
You had a couple of offers from other schools, a lot of interest from other schools. When did you know that South Carolina was the right job for you?
Coach Tanner called me, as I mentioned a few weeks ago. We started to go through the process, and the more I learned about what he wants and what this place was all about, it became very clear that if he offered the position, it would be really hard to turn down. So at what point exactly did that happen? It's hard to say, but the further we got into it, the more it was pretty easy to see that if he presents this opportunity, it's going to be really hard to turn it down.
Stay in the back, Dwayne.
Dwayne McLemore with the State. How quickly do you dive into recruiting, and what is your message to recruits these first few days and in the coming weeks?
ASAP, to answer your first question, ASAP. The message is the same that we've talked about here for the last 30 minutes. If you're recruited by South Carolina, it's going to be a tremendous opportunity. We can't recruit everybody, we can't sign everybody, but if we identify you as a potential player, what you're getting into is going to be pretty special. both in everything that South Carolina can provide for you, but also our philosophy and what we prioritize in terms of developing student athletes and baseball players. This will be a great program to be a part of. And I think people will see that from the outside, and I think the word of mouth will spread very quickly.
Up front, Matt.
Matt Connolly with the state. This was a pretty lengthy coaching search, and as Ray Tanner mentioned, there were a lot of candidates mentioned. What was the process like of kind of waiting it out and finding out what was going to happen?
Probably harder for my family and my staff than for myself. You get to the point where you just kind of understand it's part of the deal. There's a lot of people that this affects. It affects your coaching staff and their families. It affects my family. It affects the families here. It affects recruits and their families. So that part of it, just knowing how many people are involved, I would say is the toughest part. The waiting part, I think Coach Tanner did a great job in making sure it was done at the pace that he thought would bring him the right candidate. So I think it's more important to get the right candidate than a quick candidate, and I think he shared that.
Let's go back to TV Road, Joe.
Here in the back, Coach Joe Gorcha, WIS-TV. You've been a part of other programs as a head coach, perhaps not with the expectation level that is here, but you've been a part of big programs in the past. What's the key to successfully managing, in your mind, a program that has such high expectations here like Carolina?
Win. Win. I mean, put everything in place so that you're successful and win. That's how you manage expectations. It's not difficult. Not difficult. I mean, it's difficult to win, but it's not difficult to understand what people want. People want to win. Fans want to win. I understand that. That's why they buy tickets. They want to celebrate after a game, not be disappointed. So we understand the best way to get everybody excited is to win games.
Back to the left, Jeff.
Jeff Owens, Spurs and Feathers. Coach, Ray mentioned that you were anxious to tour Founders Park. What was your impressions of the ballpark and the facilities?
Top notch, arguably the best in the country. Everything is there that you need. To have the weight room on site, to have the cages right outside the locker room, to have a concourse that circles the entire ballpark. There's so many things that make that place unique and very player-friendly, very coach-friendly. The fact that we have such great support staff will allow us as coaches to really focus on what matters, and that's being with our players a lot, within the rules, of course, from a time standpoint, but it will allow us to focus on the things that really matter. So there's a great support staff there already in place, but that stadium, to me, it's more than just the stadium. The stadium is great for the fans to come and watch a game in, but there's so much more there that will allow our players to reach their potential. And that's, to me, that's the number one thing I took from it.
Any other questions for Coach Kingston? Not any questions for Coach Tanner? Oh, go ahead. You got one here. John.
John Del Bianco with the Big Spur. Welcome to Columbia, first
Thanks,
off.
John. Appreciate
Could you just
it.
talk about the opportunity to coach at a program in the SEC and what that conference is all about and what it takes to first get through that conference to be able to get to a place like Omaha?
It's a grind, there's no doubt. There's some great programs in this conference. There's some great coaches, and there's great players in this conference. So it's big boy baseball. There's no doubt about it. The national championship just had 2 SEC teams. So to me, that's very exciting. That's the challenge. I've coached long enough now to say it's time. I want to test what we do against the best, and I want to be the best, and I want our team to be the best. So to me, it's the right time, it's the right place. That's very invigorating to me.
Coach, Mike Wilson from SEC Country. I'm just curious, how much of an opportunity have you had through this process to kind of see the roster you've got coming back, and when do you really buckle down on looking at what you've got for next year?
I've done some with what we have coming back. I've looked at stat sheets. I was able to watch a few games, through the different apps they have these days, and there was a game on YouTube that I was able to watch the entirety of that game. So I've done some, not nearly as much as I want to, as much as I will, but there's enough video out there, there's enough stat sheets, there's enough people I can talk to start to get a good handle on what we have moving forward.
Any other questions for Coach? If not, we'll let him catch his breath. Any questions?
Thank you so much.
Any questions for Coach
Go Gamecocks.
Anyone have questions for Coach Tanner you'd like to ask now? Or you just want to get on to one-on-ones? Yeah, that's what I figured. With that, thank you again for coming out. I'll have an opportunity up here for a photo op for the photographers with Coach and Coach Tanner, and we'll do some one-on-ones. Appreciate everyone coming out. Thank you.
Thank you.